So I thought we could talk tonight about trying to let go. So in spirituality, we may have heard that there's some benefit in letting go, right? We've heard the slogans, let go and let God, and we like that. I mean, sounds good. And so we may even try to do that. The only issue is that the personal self likes the idea of letting go, but it doesn't actually want to. It doesn't really have any interest in letting go. It likes what it likes, and it doesn't like what it doesn't like, and it likes to be in charge and let us know what's right and what's wrong and what we should do and what we shouldn't do and how the world should be and shouldn't be, and it likes that role. And it may be uncomfortable at times, it may feel conditioned, it may feel constraining, it may feel limiting, but hey, it's familiar. Right? And what would happen if I really gave all that up? What would I do? What would I think? What would motivate me to get off the couch in the morning? And we don't know, right? So this sense of letting go of what? Right? But this idea of letting go, it sounds good. It sounds like, well, then I'd be free, right? Free of what? And I'd suggest this sense of being free of as being free of our attachments, desires, opinions, ideas, beliefs, hopes. But there's a sense of, well, if I gave all that up, who would I be? Right? It's a good question. And the answer is, of course, I don't know. I don't know what that would feel like. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know how I would be able to move in the world. I don't know what I would do. I'm not sure what I would say to people. I'm not sure I would hang out with the same people that I used to. So there may be this pull, the idea that we sort of may sense that there's something there of just really letting go of that which constrains us. But there's also this fear of like, well, would I be then? And, we still, at the end of the day, we still will have a personality. We'll still have this body. We'll still have, in all likelihood, the situation more or less that we have now. But it's really a movement towards where we feel home base is. If we believe, as most of us have for all of our life, that what we are is this body, is this storyline, is this mental projection about who I am and what the world is and how all that works, with the people that I like, the people that I don't. When we're housed in that framework, then we will feel vulnerable. Maybe not so overtly all the time. Maybe we'll feel really vulnerable sometimes and pretty good other times, but there's an underlying sense of sort of an unsettledness. Not quite sure who it is that we are. because when we define ourselves as this structure, as this form, trying to move about in the world, the circumstances are always changing. Our storyline changes, our ideas change, the body certainly changes, our opinions change. So everything is in a state of movement, and so if that's what we're trying to, if that's what we really identify with and want to protect, of course, the sense of me, then of course there's a vulnerability. Of course there's maybe an underlying sense of anxiety. Being cautious, being, on sort of looking out for the next unsettling circumstance. Because this is the nature of form. It is vulnerable. I mean, these bodies are vulnerable to, physical insult and psychological insult. So we can just acknowledge that on the level of form, it's challenging to find peace. We won't find it there. We won't find peace in the next idea. We're not going to find ultimate peace and happiness in any particular circumstance, any particular person, any particular achievement, any particular belief. Because all of those are limited. They might be wonderful and yet not ultimately fulfilling. If they were ultimately, let's just take a thing, for example. Let's just take, let's just take a car. Nice car. A foreign car, maybe. Glamorous. And some people, if they had that car, they would be happy. Other people couldn't really care whether they had a car like that. Might even be slightly embarrassed to have a car like that. So if happiness resided in the car, anybody who owned the car would be happy for as long as they owned the car. But we know that's not how it works, that some people enjoy that and maybe be really happy having recently purchased the car. But if they have it for a year or two, it's like, it's still a nice car, but doesn't really generate happiness. So we can see that if the happiness was really generated by the object, then anyone who had that particular object would be happy. But that's not the case. So we can see that it doesn't lie in the object. It lies in what our conditioning tells us about how we'll feel if we had that particular object. And we can apply the same reasoning to, a philosophy, a situation, a concert, a house, a neighborhood, a religion, whatever thing that we imagine will make us happy. Someone else would see it differently. So we can see that it's a function of our conditioning about whatever it is that we're experiencing, rather than the object that we're experiencing. Right? So if we really see that, then the question is it worth my time and expenditure of life effort trying to gain a particular situation or object or relationship? Because I believe that when I do, then I'll be happy. But it raises the question is, what will I have then that I don't have now? And if we believe that we'll have that object of our desire, then we're placing the source of happiness in the object and not here at home. Right? So when we do that and we know deep down, or we'll find out in the course of things, that the object of desire, person, thing, situation, achievement, whatever, adventure, excitement, stimulation, whatever. If we believe that we'll find happiness there, then we can really stop and question, like, what do I feel like I lack now that I will have when I obtain whatever object is that I'm desiring? Because when we look, we can always see that we're in this movement of hoping for fulfillment out in the future. And if we've sort of temporarily gained a situation or a thing or a relationship, then there's some tension about, well, what if I lost that? Then how would I feel? But again, we're placing our happiness in the hands of the situation or the other person or life. But when we do that, the first thing that we do is deny the possibility of happiness here, now, as is. And that's really the heart of what this letting go is. It's letting go of our desires for future fulfillment. Belief that, belief in relief of our sense of unsatisfactoriness lies in some future situation. Attainment, maybe enlightenment, right? But denying it here and now. So this sense of trying to let go, why? Why would we try to let go? From the personal self, the only reason we would try to let go is because we think that there's some spiritual benefit in doing so. For whom? For me, right? This movement of somehow enhancing my experience by letting go. But then when we're faced with what we really can consider letting go of, like my opinions and my desires and my beliefs and my hopes, and then we're not so sure, right? So I'd suggest that rather than trying to let go, which is an oxymoron, by the way, trying to let go, it would be much more productive to look at how we're holding on, right? Because if we're not holding on, our innate state of being is letting go, is a state of surrender. And that is not far away. It's not like we have to get rid of everything that we like or enjoy. Of course not. That would be silly. It's just our attachment to it, right? If you go into Baskin and Robbins and you like, I don't know, you like mint chocolate chip ice cream, but they're out of mint chocolate chip, and you have like 20 other choices. You prefer mint chocolate chip, but it's not like you are devastated if they don't have it, right? it's like, okay, well, tonight I'll have something else. And it's not like we can't enjoy the mint chocolate chip when they have it. Sure, fine, no problem. We don't have to deny our preferences. Just question our attachment to any particular outcome. Because sometimes, as we all know, we've all known this since about like age 3, that sometimes life goes our way and sometimes it doesn't. So of course we would prefer enjoyable situations, friendships, warm sunny days, of course. And yet, if we insist that I'll only be happy on warm sunny days, then we'll be miserable, a good part of the time. Right? So it's not that we have to deny the things that we enjoy. It's just to notice what we are insisting on, where we insist that life shows up in a particular way. And by that I mean that essentially saying to ourselves, well, I'll be happy if this happens. I'll be happy when. But that's to deny what's present now. So it's not the thing itself, the situation, the person needs to be rejected. Not at all. We can enjoy what we enjoy, but just drop the insistence that life show up a certain way, because it won't. We'll sort of condemn ourselves to being frustrated a good part of the time. So we can really look at that which we are attached to being a certain way, and the belief that that a particular outcome will lead to happiness, and if there's another outcome, I won't be happy. Right? So that's how we function on a relative human level. But what we can also notice is this awareness, this presence, this awake presence. Is already in a state of let go, right? It is already welcoming whatever happens. Again, the mind may or may not like what's happening, but the awareness is willing, not only willing, but a sense of almost welcoming, being without resistance to whatever's happening. So we can notice it's not that we have to become someone without resistances, because essentially we are already that. What pulls us away from that recognition is things that we feel entirely justified in resisting. So that's what we can look at. Those moments when we're saying no to life, no to how life is showing up. Sometimes it requires that we make some effort, maybe some hard work to sort of resolve the situation, or somehow work our way through whatever's being presented to us. That's just in the natural course of life. But if we do it from a place of non-resistance, then we're not expending all our energy arguing with how life is showing up. We're just available to do what needs to be done. So I would say the significant thing about this whole concept of letting go is to recognize what is already in the state of surrender, what's already in the state of let go, which is our innate awareness. And then the question, well, how, if we are at home in that spacious awareness, how does that move? We still have the body, we still have the mind, we still have our conditioning, but then how does that move? And the mysterious, magical, amazing part of the awareness is that just by the light of awareness that shines on our conditioning, on our attachments, softens them without us knowing how that happens, without us being in charge of that project, just that the light of awareness itself has that capacity. And it functions in a way that we don't understand, we can't understand, but it does happen. So we don't have to try to change the conditioning. Our job is to notice it, to notice the things that we tell ourselves that hold us in resistance from life. Those things, ideas, beliefs, desires, opinions, how things should be, how the other person should be, how the world should be, all of those things. So it's that positionality that holds us apart from the direct experience of living, right? So rather than expend effort trying to let go, trying to surrender, notice what's already surrendered and notice what isn't. Notice that awareness is already fully surrendered, no problem, done deal. And yet there is this human side that can pull us into conflict and anger and resentment and all those things. Or frustration. Doesn't need to be overly dramatic, and can be just sort of frustration or anxiousness or restlessness, right? Unsatisfactoriness with life. And see that all of that is a result of resistance to what's happening now.